Welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss mystical works of literature and how they relate to recovery. We hope you enjoy today's podcast episode.
Hello, this is Buddy C. Welcome to the Tao of Understanding Recovery Podcast. Today we have Brian and Drew and Luke. Good to have you guys today. I do want to mention one resource before we get into our conversation today. We're going to be talking about the first section of Leaving Things Alone out of the Thomas Merton interpretation of Chuang Tzu's work. We've been going through this book. We're up to page 70 now. So I think this is going to be a really good story. I do want to mention one resource from buddyc.org that we have for you. And today's resource is the bookstore. So if you go to buddyc.org, there's a link that says bookstore up in the menu. And you're best to just control F and find what you're looking for. You can scroll through, but there's a number of books. I tried to list most, if not all, the books that we reference, including the AA books and some other books too, that we may not talk about, but that I've used with sponsees. And there's a really good children's book here too by Charlie Mackey's The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Very Taoist. Very Taoist. Scotty M put me onto that. Have all kinds of books here that may be a benefit to you. Scroll through these sometime and see if there's something here that speaks to you. We make very little on these books. These links, I might make $3 or $4 a month. Not hardly anything. So it's not about the money. It's about making it convenient for you guys. So a number of things here. If there's anything you guys think I should add, just email me and let me know. info@buddyc.org. Our moment of synchronicity today, I think Drew has that. Don't you, Drew? You want to share your moment with us?
Sure. Yeah, I'm part of a local recovery group that meets once a week on Zoom now. We used to be in person, but then the pandemic happened and we lost our space and just been doing it on Zoom. But it's a weekly meeting for local people. And once a quarter, we have a dinner and we have a speaker come. This month's speaker, I've actually known him for about 15 years, and I really don't like him. When I saw that he was the speaker, I thought about not going, but it was a free dinner. I'll go listen to anybody talk for a free dinner. I went, and his talk was actually really good. I got to know him better through his talk and the struggles he's been through and why he is the way he is, and felt a lot more sympathy for him and a lot more respect for him. One of the things he talked about was in several important places, he has posted up the phrase, "You didn't cause it, you can't control it, you can't cure it." And I'd never heard that phrase before, but it stuck with me, and I thought about it on the drive home. When I got home, I resumed reading a book I'm reading on codependency, and the second page that I got to that night said, "You didn't cause it, you can't control it, you can't cure it." And I was just blown away. He had mentioned that phrase just an hour before, and I was thinking about it, and then here it was on the page in front of me. I emailed him the next day and had told him about that, and he said, "Yeah, the universe puts things in front of us when it wants us to see them." And I thought that was very true for that.
Wonder why that's important, Drew. Do you ever think about that? I try not to, but sometimes I say, wow, is there a situation that you're having to apply that yet? I bet if not, you're going to see one soon.
Yeah, there are a couple things going on in my life that definitely speaks to about
Good.
letting things happen without my influence, and letting some people find their own way
Except
without trying to interfere. Yeah, yeah, yep, yeah.
that's good.
All about acceptance.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. I have found that I always have what I need, including the tools. Yes, that's good. Thank you, Drew.
And Drew, that is a common phrase in Al-Anon because we're always blaming ourselves and thinking we're in charge of the whole world and everything's our result of what we do and our responsibility. So we have to remind ourselves that we didn't cause it and we can't cure it. Especially we can't cure it. We can't control the other person.
Right. Yeah.
Even though we practice all the time.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Maybe ties in today's lessons too, or today's.
Could be. Could be. Drew, you ready to read for us, sir?
Sure.
And we talked before the meeting, and we're going to follow Drew's suggestion on this. I think it's a good idea to read this first section, these first 4 paragraphs, and see where those go for today. And if we get enough out of that, we'll save the rest for next week.
All right. Leaving things alone. I know about letting the world alone, not interfering. I do not know about running things. Letting things alone, so that men will not blow their nature out of shape. Not interfering, so that men will not be changed into something they are not. When men do not get twisted and maimed beyond recognition, when they are allowed to live, the purpose of government is achieved. Too much pleasure? Yang has too much influence. Too much suffering? Yin has too much influence. When one of these outweighs the other, it is as if the seasons came at the wrong times. The balance of cold and heat is destroyed. The body of man suffers. Too much happiness, too much unhappiness. Out of due time, men are thrown off balance. What will they do next? Thought runs wild. No control. They start everything, finish nothing. Here competition begins. Here the idea of excellence is born, and robbers appear in the world. Now the whole world is not enough reward for the good, nor enough punishment for the wicked, since now the world itself is not big enough for reward or punishment. From the time of the 3 dynasties, men have been running in all directions. How can they find time to be human?
I was thinking about the last sentence there, Drew. How do they find to be human? I have realized over the last couple of years, especially from Zen studies, that the goal, if you will, of spirituality is to be fully human. I thought it was something different. I thought it was rising above humanity. Oh, and just floating through that whole deal. But no, one of the teachers books we read, his definition of enlightenment was to be fully human. So I started thinking about that, and I think he's right, because everything here seems the controls about escape, right?
Right.
About avoiding being human. And what does it mean to be human? Does it mean something than what our perception is? Let's start back over with that first paragraph. It's interesting. He comes at it from the opposite of what I think we would come at, or I know I would. He says he knows about letting the world alone, not interfering, but he does not know how to run things. It's almost, and a lot of times I found that Chuang Tzu comes at it sarcastically too, a little bit. You get a little bit of that. He does not know how to run things. He knows how to let things alone, and in doing so, men will not blow their nature out of shape, not interfering so that men will not be changed into something they are not.
And I see that sentence as referring to both the person trying to do the changing and the person who's the object of that changing.
Subject and object, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Isn't that what interfering does every time, regardless? It really goes back to your synchronicity moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that phrase, ties into this first paragraph perfectly.
Repeat it again, Drew, please.
I didn't cause it, I can't control it, and I can't cure it.
Mm.
That's the definition of not interfering.
Exactly. When men do not get twisted and maimed beyond recognition, when they are allowed to live, the purpose of government's achieved. Let's break that down to us. How does this apply in our own lives? The self-government. Can I allow situations to just present themselves and to flow and do without my excessive interference? When, like you were talking, actually, Drew, like we were talking about going to your meeting, you could have very easily just stayed at home and interfered. You just allowed it. You said, that's what's in front of me to do. I want to go. I'm going. There's not.
And I'm learning from experience, the less I try to interfere in other people's lives or things that are out of my control, beyond my control, the more I'm allowing myself to live. I'm not just allowing the other person to live their life. I'm letting me live my life as well.
Thank you, Drew. Brian?
Yeah, I was just going to expand on what Drew said. I've heard people talk about when you're helping gets to the point of control, or you're trying to save a person, you're really harming them in a way. You're denying them of the dignity of figuring things out on their own. We had a little situation with our youngest son who's away at school, and he's responsible, doing well, but he just floats along. And so a month or so ago, my wife said, "Hey, you registered for your classes?" And I'm waiting on the email. Instead of looking at the website and seeing what the date was, he just sits along and waits on this email. And my wife looks on the website down at Ole Miss and sees that it's been rocking along for a month or 6 weeks. Registration has been. I don't know how long it has been. I'm out of that loop. But anyway, so immediately there's this panic because classes are filled. And immediately I go to the worst. And I'm like, okay, worst case scenario is he has to sit out a year. He's got a job. He's got an apartment. So he'll just lose a year, but it's going to be okay. And but I stayed out of it, and I kept that fear tamped down. But it all worked out, and hopefully he kind of learned a lesson. Everything worked out into his benefit, but Mama did meddle in it a little bit. But she wasn't logging in and registering him and all that. But anyway, just letting people have the dignity of figuring things out on their own. That's like trying to save somebody from a bottom. You can't do that unless you want to be potentially drugged down with them.
We've got to be really sensitive in how we offer assistance, offer help. We've got a running joke here that if you're picking and you want to manipulate something, say, I'm just trying to be, air quotes, helpful. That's a running joke here.
Yeah.
I think so. Because I talk about being helpful all the time.
Yeah. I heard somewhere help is the sunny side of control?
That's a good one.
Could be.
Did I hear that here?
No, I haven't heard that one. Lou?
Brian's talking about, it just reminds me of how in our traditions we share our experiences rather than telling people or trying to control people. And the line of work that I've been in for 40 some years is one of the things is making sure people have informed choice so that they know what their choices are, because some people don't know that choices are available to them. With that, I try to include the letting go of the outcomes. It's not my responsibility to track and follow if they are using the experience that I shared with them or try to control them to do that. It's difficult sometimes, but that's the goal.
Thank you, Lou. If we have this attitude of helpfulness, this intent, it's really more of being available than it is anything else for me. And if I offer something in a helpful way, I make sure and do that not from a place of control or trying to achieve some outcome. I don't know if I've mentioned this here, but lately I've heard in a local meeting talking about the third step, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. That second part, turning our lives over to the care of God, is letting go of expectations. Oh, okay, that makes sense, because that's how I'm living my life. What's coming up in everything about my life itself, all the cares and concerns I have. And that's full of expectations if I'm not careful.
Full of fear too.
Exactly. The more fear, the more expectations, right?
Yep.
So to be fully human in the first paragraph, let's talk about being fully human for a second, maybe. For me, that means being present in this ever-present moment, like we talk about, because that's what the rest of nature is, in this moment. And we've lost the moment due to our fears have taken us out of the moment. We can plan for the future without being in the future. We can plan in the future in the present. That's easy to do. But I don't plan in the future with fear of if something doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. So to be fully human would be be present more moments of the day, I think. So how would that apply to this first paragraph? Well, let's see. If I'm present, I'm not interfering. I'm not trying to run things. I'm letting things flow on their own. I'm not interfering. I'm not causing people to get bent out of shape about things. I'm not adding to drama. I'm allowing. I'm not controlling, not only in others' lives, but in my own life. Situations arise, I let them take their course. If there's something for me to do, I'll do it. If not, I'll leave those situations alone. That's where acceptance comes in. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Now, in the second paragraph, it looks like, y'all just jump in if you have something. The second paragraph is talking about the extremes. Too much pleasure, too much suffering. Every time I have issue in my life, it's when I'm on the extremes. It's not when I'm in the middle way. It's interesting. He says that when one outweighs the other, pleasure or suffering, it's as if the seasons came at the wrong times. I have felt that way many times in my life. Now he's talking about third paragraph, too much happiness or too much unhappiness. Out of due time, men are thrown off balance. What will they do next? Thoughts run wild, no control. They start everything, finish nothing. Just busy to be busy, right? Most of the time when I don't finish things, it's because of fears I'm letting to control my life. I jump to something else. It says here competition begins. Here the idea of excellence is born. And then robbers appear. I could take the one attitude and this would be the attitude of running things or being our worldly idea of how things should be. Have you ever prayed for your competition in business? I have. I had a lady I didn't like when I was in the real estate business years ago. I had a lady that was just an absolute B. She was awful. And she was in the real estate business, and I did not like her at all. So when I had a listing that wouldn't sell, I'd pray for hers to sell every time. Have you ever referred someone to your competition when you knew they would do a better job in a particular area than you would? That is allowing and not interfering. The result of things being off balance is competition, striving. I think competition would be excessive competition. And when you do those things, robbers appear.
Yeah, I can see the competition part as when I'm out of balance. To get myself in balance, I feel like I need to be winning against other people. I create the competition in my own mind. I create comparisons. I need to be better than this guy. I need to have more stuff than them. I need to be more impressive. I start acquiring things. I start building up my ego, and that creates opportunities for people to come by and take it all.
It does. I used to do a lot of these iron butt motorcycle competitions, some insane stuff. You were always competing against other guys that did this all the time too. These are all retired doctors and lawyers and accountants and just people that had just money to do these things. And then there was me, which I was not part of that crew, but I was able to get in there and really compete some. And it's all competition. So I said, how can I do this and not fall into that trap? The best I could do was compete against myself, but I still wanted to beat everybody. And that was pre-pandemic. I don't know if I'll get back to doing those again for that very reason. I don't know if I need to introduce that kind of open competition back into my life. I don't know if that would serve me. Well, I know it wouldn't serve me if my attitude was the same.
I used to be pretty heavily involved in social media and really gave that up, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And I'm really glad I did, because I think there was a little competition in me wanting to get more likes or whatever the positive reinforcements are, wanting to be seen more, scrolling through other people's posts and being a little jealous or envious of how much traction or how many positive comments they're getting. And I just anecdotally and reading articles online, it seems like it is just getting worse and worse. So I'm thankful I got out of that when I did.
Hey, I'll share a quick story. It's really a synchronicity moment too. Not one I liked, but it was a synchronicity moment. I was competing in a rally. It was a 32-hour. It was up in West Virginia, but you went into Maryland and up through DC and all these different things. And you get judged by the number of points you get with different values and filling out all the paperwork correctly and doing all that within your time. I had a really good rally. I was within 10 minutes at the end of where I thought I would be in 32 hours, getting everything. Got back, I was doing my paperwork and turned it all in. Lo and behold, I made a mistake on my paperwork in one part. So I lost a bunch of points, and it was actually, I misunderstood anyway, it doesn't matter. But so here's 60, 70 guys. I knew no one. So I go in and sit down where they have the banquet thing where you eat and you do all that. I sat down at one of the round tables, and there were probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 little round tables, and a few people sat on each of them. So when they started calling out all of the money-wise or award-wise, they talked about points. And I'd figured out how much points I would have had if I wouldn't have made that one mistake. And I would have won. Man, I can't believe I was just beating myself up. And lo and behold, the guy that won was sitting right beside me. So I had to hear all these people come up and talk about how great a job. I'm sitting there. And they said there's a big rally called the Iron Butt, which is like an 11-day deal. And it's difficult to get in, especially people who are new. And he was going to get a seat in the Iron Butt too, as part of this rally. And man, my ego just took a thumping. I just sit there and listen to everybody talk about how great he was. I wanted them to talk about how great I was. And I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign. I said, I don't know. So I was happy with what I did and went home, but I was not happy. I said, was it important for him to sit right beside me and me hear all of that? I said, must have been. literally, I could have said anywhere in the whole place. He could have said anywhere, and we ended up side by side. Oh my
Did
God!
you congratulate him for winning?
Oh, sure I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get. I I wasn't pissy about it,
Good.
but there was no one to talk to about it. It was just me, and it was odd. The mistake I made was on a point that was handled differently, and I thought it was being handled differently, and it wasn't just an outright I didn't write this down. I totally missed what it was saying, but it was a mistake, and I was like, oh my God, I guess I needed to be humbled. So the more I looked, that was one of my last ones actually. The more I looked at that, the more I said, maybe I don't need to be doing this. So we'll see. That was a synchronicity I did not enjoy. All right, last paragraph. Now the whole world is not enough reward for the good, in air quotes, nor enough punishment for the wicked, since now the world itself is not big enough for reward or punishment. From the time of the three dynasties, men have been running in all directions. How can they find time to be human? So they're saying the world being so big you can't find enough reward for the good is not human. That's not human. I've seen that some in my life where no matter how much money I made, it wasn't enough, or somebody wronged me and it doesn't matter what punishment they got, it wasn't enough. And I couldn't be satisfied with whatever punishment they got. It's those extremes.
Yeah, I know I can twist myself in knots focusing on why bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. Things just happen to people.
Yeah, I'll see an injustice and they'll be talking on TV about it. And I'm like, and I get mad. I'm like, wait a minute, buddy. What are you getting mad about this for? Is this something you can control or do anything about? That happens less often than it used to.
I've had that experience in the past, buddy, where I remember in the 80s or something, there was a time when I was really upset with some of the leadership in America because something that was going on in the world, and I felt like America had its head in the sand. I think it was a famine and there was lots of bad things happening, and I was blaming and condemning. And then I thought to myself, Lou, are you sending money over there? Have you gone over there to try to help those people? What are you doing about this that you're so upset about? And suddenly, when it was turned back to me, I didn't have the same attitude that I did before when I looked in that man in the mirror. And since then, it's really helped me to understand what's in my sphere of influence and what isn't. And that if I'm going to complain, I have some responsibility to do something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the time of the three dynasties went back to 2000 BC. So this was ancient in that time because this is written probably, 300 BC or so. So this is nothing new. This struggle with self is nothing new. This lack of being human, this lack of presence, lack of awareness. The origin of every spiritual practice has an origin in this. Buddha has his moment of surrender under the Bodhi tree. He said, I'm going to stay here until I die or get enlightened, one or the other. That was his bottom. You could say Jesus's bottom may have been in the Garden of Gethsemane, or back when in the wilderness, the story of him in the wilderness with the devil, that story, any of those, but all of these have a moment of surrender, regardless of who you're talking about. Man, when I start seeing that competition, I start seeing that ego pop up, there's nothing that will satisfy that. Nothing. All those fear-driven actions, there's nothing that can satisfy that at all. So how do I become human, fully human? I surrender. I let go.
That realization that Brian didn't get here on a winning streak.
You didn't make a decision of, should I re-up my membership to the country club or go to AA? I think I'll go to AA.
Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. But everyone has to come to that moment, Brian, whether they're in the program or not. There's a moment of surrender, of letting go,
Yeah.
and learning how to let go is such a challenge. I recommend a book that's not an AA book. It's David Hawkins' Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender. That is really how to do the first 3 steps. And it is an excellent listen, like an audible listen. It is fantastic. The way it's written, I listened to it over and over again for a long time. Just very easy to listen to. I actually use that with Sponsee some, the first portion of the book. He gets into some stuff in the back that I don't know. That's a little woo for me, but all of his ideas on letting go, I'm good with. They resonate with me. He's the one that I heard about grief, about anger. When we talk about anger and talk about just letting that go and allowing myself to be angry, that's exactly what he talks about.
Yeah, his chapter on anger is very good.
And grief too. His chapter on grief's good, Drew. If you haven't read it, very good. It's all the same though, is just letting it pass, like Michael Singer talks about. Just letting it all pass through and not grabbing any of it, letting it go.
Yeah, it's that second paragraph about the seasons coming at the wrong time. There's a season for, it's like the bird's song turn, Ecclesiastes. There's a season for everything. Trying to make one season come when it's not time, and trying to make one season stick around when it's time for it to go. And I know that's when I was in my addiction, that was one of the biggest parts of it was, I was trying to force myself to feel ways when it wasn't time, and forcing myself not to feel ways when it was time to feel that way.
Yeah, when summer's over, I will wear my shorts as long as I can stand. I love summer, barefooted right now with shorts on, and I don't want to see fall come. Every year I do the same thing. I fight it as long as I can possibly fight it.
But it changes every year without our control.
It sure does.
Didn't cause it, can't cure it, and can't control it.
Control it. Yeah. It was funny we were talking about that, and then I just kept looking at the page where it says leaving things alone. I was like, this is a short one. We're 30 seconds in. We've got it figured out.
Let's return for just a second before we close about being helpful. I'll talk about that a minute, because we learn in recovery that we learn to live from this, we call it compassionate living, that we live from this basis of God is love rather than God is fear, the love versus the fear. And we start to learn to live from this foundation of love rather than our fears. How do we do that? We pray for the person we resent. That's living from that foundation that we weren't aware that we had. For me, breaking that down to just what's appropriate for me to do, to offer for you in this moment. For example, in this meeting, my intent, the way I can be helpful is being open to what you guys have to say and not come in thinking I've got this thing figured out. And me wanting to share something with you, if there's something I can share that would be helpful to you. That's just a simple thing. When I get in the car, I try not to run up on people, even folks driving slow. I try not to slam my brakes on when people run up on me like I used to do, and they're going too fast up behind me. I try to show them all respect. When I get where I'm going, I never take the best parking place. That's just a way I can give. When I'm in a meeting, I try to listen, even when, someone may be using the meeting for their sponsor. I know y'all come across that. They're told over and over to go get a sponsor, and they don't do it, and they're just sitting there belly aching to the meeting. I still listen, pray for them, open my heart to them, do my 3 things I do. I open my heart, I send them love, and I ask, how can I be of service to them today? That always gets me right sized. Brian?
Yeah, I was thinking earlier in the meeting, I've had the instances, and I'm really embarrassed to admit this. I've had instances in meetings where there's people there that just something about them irks me, or they're sharing, and I'm thinking, man, cry me a freaking river. And anytime I go there, it's a guarantee that I'm going to have some type of interaction with that person. And odds are it's going to be something like I get a call out of the blue, or I've been thinking during the meeting this thought, and then realizing that's not right. And then after the meeting, they come up and say, hey, man, you said so, and I need some help. Would you be my sponsor? Yeah. It's all, I've had that happen several times. And so I try not to do that, man. I've got such a damn ego, and it's gotten smaller, but yeah. It's a work in progress.
The issue we have here, I came from an AA where it was alcoholics. And if they weren't an alcoholic, they weren't asked to leave, but eventually they'd be told, go to the NA meeting, don't come to the AA meeting. And here, it's not that way. So sometimes I'm having to say, okay, I'm not in charge of this meeting. What experience, strength, and hope can I share? I don't want to get into why it's separate and all of that, but there's very good reasons why. But being they don't practice AA the way that I think it should be done, doesn't mean I get pissed off and not go or storm out, or I just try to be accepting and try to be helpful, I guess would be a way to say it. Not helpful, yeah, with air quotes, but really helpful. And sometimes being really helpful is sitting there doing nothing more times than not. That interfering is the issue. It's like the flip, isn't it? I can be the most helpful by not interfering. My actions most of the time are me not getting in the way than me actually doing something.
Yeah, I know listening can sometimes be more helpful than talking. Often be more helpful than talking, not just sometimes.
Hey, Drew, try this sometime. Try taking a day and starting every conversation with something you appreciate in that person. Not do it outright, but do it in a way that it's fluid. But that kind of attitude if you have to call the cable company, you can say something nice to the person on the other end. You can do all those things. And every time I do that, I don't do it always. Every time I do, it's an easier, better conversation. Doesn't matter who it's with. That's a way that we can truly be helpful. That's a way we can show compassion. We're not talking about having to be Mother Teresa every time that we interact with somebody. We're talking about real life, being fully human, real life.
Buddy, that person answering the phone had nothing to do with my damn internet being on the outs.
No.
And I used to think they're getting paid to take whatever I'm going to spray on them. They're getting paid to take the blowtorch.
If we're open to being to that, you'll know how to respond. You'll know what to do. You don't have to create something.
Yeah.
Make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being available. Yeah. That was good, guys. Anything else before we close? All right, guys, if there's nothing else, y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars. Hope you put some of these resources to use and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends in recovery.